because it doesn't curve. The water always finds its level.
What'd your teacher do?
She just didn't talk to me anymore. All she did was walk away. And I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat because it doesn't curve, the water always finds its level.
What'd your teacher do?
She just didn't talk to me anymore. All she did was walk away. And I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it.
Up for sound bites. This is awesome.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Anti-Religious Scripture Study with me, Karen B., and of course, Just Jack Flat Earth.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Anyways, we're back for another episode of Anti-Religious Scripture Study.
I'm looking at the YouTube page, and maybe it's me, but
What's going on?
it's not live yet. Oh, there it goes.
No,
Okay,
it should be
my bad.
live.
That's a long delay. Okay, so
Sometimes it does take a sec to catch up.
Sorry, y'all. That's my fault. I was looking at YouTube and it threw me off. Anyway, yeah, well, I'll get into the disclaimer right away. This is definitely not going to be a lovey-dovey, mamby-pamby, greasy grace, sloppy agape episode. It's a, do the creator's will or get out is basically this chapter. So, um, just Jack's disclaimer. To the religious, if you believe it's wrong to study the scripture outside of your religion or denomination, if you believe your religious fathers or church fathers are incapable of having inherited anti-scriptural traditions of men, if you've already made up your mind about scripture, including the scripture shouldn't be studied at all, then the stream is not for you. To others, if you are open-minded to others' opinions, if you haven't made up your mind about scripture, if you've been turned off to religion but believe there's truth in scripture that may have been changed or hidden by religion, if you live according to scripture and like to dig in to discover more, then the stream is for you. We are looking at scripture in the original language using concordances or dictionaries for words as well as context from a non-religion perspective. We will as well have life experience discussion. We are not here to argue with others about theology or doctrine by the traditions of men, including Catholicism, Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. We will be discussing the importance of origins and show how religions contradict the scriptures. There we go. All right. So, the chapter that we did last week is going to lead into the chapter of this week. And as we've discussed very early in our streams, originally there were no numbers in the dividing of chapters. That was something that was added much later, chapter numbers, verses, and stuff like that. So sometimes individual thoughts can be broken up when it's broken up the chapter. You can see that in the very the very first chapter going into the second chapter where it was the 7 days of creation, but they broke it off on day 6 so that they could avoid the conversation about the Sabbath. And this one is quite broken up as well, but I can kind of see why they broke it up where they did, but I would have broken up in a different place because these verses are talking about when you go into the land, there's going to be a designated location where my name is going to dwell, which the ark is also called by the name. That's going to be the location where you go to worship, where you go to have your parties, where do you bring sacrifices, stuff like that, as a designated location, and that if you do tend to have an animal to kill and eat, that it's not the same as going to the location where Yah's name is placed. And then they have a heading in here, which again, the headings are not originally in the scriptures, but there's a heading here that talks about going into idolatry, because it is like, we're talking about sacrifices in the designated place, and then it kind of switches over to, when you get to that land, right? And that's the precursor, is that we're not talking about in any location. It's when you get to that land that was promised to Israel, which is on the other side of the Jordan, that land is going to be designated for the worship of Yah and no other, right? So it says, when Elohim cuts off before you the nations which you dispossess them and dwell on their land. That's the land that will become theirs. Guard yourself that you are not ensnared to follow them after they are destroyed before you, that you do not inquire about their mighty ones, right? And mighty ones is Elohim, which is worship of other deities. Do not do so to Jehovah your Elohim, for every abomination which Jehovah hates they have done to their mighty ones, for they even burned their sons and daughters into the fire to their mighty ones. So there's child sacrifices going on to the worship of those deities. He's saying, don't do what they do and say you're doing it to me. Don't pick up their religious traditions, their rituals, and say it's to me, which is what the modern religions have done. They've taken different worship styles and incorporated it into a new religion. All the words that I'm commanding you today, guard and do it. Do not add to or take away from it. This verse, if you look in my notes over here, it's highlighted as 13:1. because in excuse me, in some versions, like, you could like compare, let's say, the English Bible to the Jewish Bible, let's say. Um, this verse right here is Deuteronomy 12:32 in the KJV, King James Version, but in the JPS, Jewish Publication Society, this is chapter 13, verse 1. This verse,
Huh.
same verse. So you can see, these random, breakups, because they decided to say that all the words I'm commanding you to do, guard and do it, is relating to chapter 13. However, I would start, if I was breaking up the chapter, I would start it up here, because we're talking about the location and how you sacrifice, and then we're going into, okay, now this is how I don't want you to do sacrifices, how I, the locations I don't want you to do these rituals, right? And then chapter 13 continues about the people who will try to lead you to do these things, because in their worship, a lot of it has to do with child sacrifices, and they do strange things with animals and whatnot. So you can go ahead and start at chapter 13 whenever you're ready, which is 13:2 in other versions. But go ahead.
All right. When there arises among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and he shall give you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder shall come true, of which he has spoken to you, saying, let us go after other mighty ones which you have not known, and serve them.
Okay, so the preface here is not that there's just somebody making prophetical statements, future claims. These are people who make future claims and they come to pass. But they're saying, let's not serve the Creator, let's go serve something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Do not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for Yehovah your Elohim is trying you to know whether you love Yehovah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being.
Yeah. So
it's a test.
I've had people say, well, how can somebody's prediction be true if Yah's not in it? Well, this verse explains it right there. He's testing you. Are you going to, like, sometimes he gives us, all of us, individuals, sights into the future, like, oh, this is what I dreamed about, or this is what I've already experienced, or whatever the case may be, or even you say, I know what's going to happen because I've foreseen it. That is, just designate that from the Creator. That's all you have to do, is to make it right. You designate it from the Creator. All right. 4.
Walk after Yehovah your Elohim and fear him, and guard his commands, and obey his voice, and serve him, and cling to him.
Okay.
And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams is put to death, because he has spoken apostasy against Yehovah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim and ransomed you from the house of bondage, to make you stray from the way in which Yehovah your Elohim commanded you to walk. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst.
Okay. And again, they're not being killed for foreseeing, and they're not being killed for having a dream. They're killed for using that as leverage to say, let's go worship these other deities. All right. 6.
When your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend, who is as your own being, entices you secretly, saying, let us go and serve other mighty ones which you have not known, neither you nor your fathers, of the mighty ones of the people which are all around you, near to you, or far off from you, from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth. That's a flat earth reference.
Yep.
Do not agree with
I concur.
Do not agree with him or listen to him, nor shall your eye pardon him, nor spare him or conceal him. But you shall.
Yeah, this end is extremity.
Yeah.
And then this end is, yep, the same. Let me look there really quick. Yeah, the cutoff, the end. Yep. Yep. So what verse you on? 9?
9, yeah.
Okay. So this is not pretty, folks. This is, you know, someone very close to you. Your brother, your sister, your who did I mention here? Your
Your
son, your daughter, your wife, your friend. Somebody saying, "Hey, let's go over here. These people are getting what they want because they're sacrificing their children. We should go do the same thing." Right?
mm-hmm.
All right. So, go ahead.
But you shall certainly kill him. Your hand is first against him to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people.
Okay, so when it says your hand is first against him, it's saying it's your responsibility first to take them out. And if you don't, then the people will.
And you shall stone him with stones until he dies, because he sought to entice you away from Yehovah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim from the house of bondage.
Okay.
And let all Yisrael hear and fear, and not again do any such evil matter as this in your midst.
And again, this is the same thing as like when it talks about like sexual immorality and stuff like this, where the penalty for it is death. If the penalty for it is death, how often do you think it would happen? I think it would be less likely
Right.
if you had fear of death. So
Yeah, a lot of things would be less likely if people had fear of death.
yeah, like as soon as you're found out of premeditated murder, that's it. There's that, you don't stay in a cell for 10 years before they kill you. It's it. You're done. 12.
When you hear someone in one of your cities which Yehovah your Elohim gives you to dwell in, saying, some men, sons of Belial, have gone out of your midst and led the inhabitants of their city astray, saying, let us go and serve other mighty ones whom you have not known.
Okay, so the Belial is the nothing is elevated. This is like there's nothing sacred, there's nothing holy, there's nothing, that's what Belial means.
Then you shall inquire, search out, and ask diligently, and see if the matter is true and established that this abomination was done in your midst.
They're talking about a whole city being converted to see the inhabitants of the city. So they're already doing the rituals of the other worshipers.
You shall certainly strike the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, putting it under the ban, and all that is in it and its livestock with the edge of the sword.
Okay, so we're going to get into what the band is here in a minute.
And gather all its plunder into the middle of the street, and completely burn with fire the city and all its plunder before Yehovah your Elohim, and it shall be a heap forever, never to be built again.
Okay, so it doesn't say heap, it says a scatter, or like do is the same root word. It gets scattered. And then I'm trying to find the word plunder. Oh, spoil of war. Yeah. So that which is spoiled of war. So this is not this is a local city, right? This is in the land that's supposed to be designated for worship of Yah only, and you find out that the city has gone into a completely different deity worship, and they're doing all sorts of weird stuff with the animals, and they're sacrificing children or whatever is going on there. That everything in that city is off limits. Like you can't even look at this brand new sword that they built. Yeah, but that brand new sword could have been used to kill children. It's got a lot of negative connotations with it. Like you can't touch anything in that city, and the city itself cannot even be rebuilt. That land is tainted. It's no good.
And none of that which is put under the ban is to cling to your hand, so that Yehovah turns from the fierceness of his displeasure, and shall show you compassion, love you, and increase you, as he swore to your fathers.
Okay.
When you obey the voice of Yehovah your Elohim to guard all his commands which I command you today, to do what is right in the eyes of your Elohim. of Yehovah
There you
your
go.
Elohim.
There you go. Like I said, this one's not going to be pretty. It's not all lovey-dovey, but it's a serious thing. Like, I'm doing a big work here by moving you into this land, moving out all these other people. I'm not going to have you do the same thing to the land that those people have done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, we'll see, excuse me, in the future history books, Kings, Chronicles, stuff like that, that they do end up, not just straight up worshiping other deities, but mixing it in. And that's why they get taken over and taken hostage and taken out of the land. And then after a while, the people become repentant and cry out to Yah, and he brings them back, and so on and so forth. But the residual from that is everything that they learned in the foreign lands they bring to the new one, which is where the modern that's where the modern Jewish religion came from. After they got kicked out, they brought some stuff back from Babylon. So, all right, going to the chat here. Shout out to D. Patrick, FE Nation, Chi-Chi, Valley Parks, Lisa Sevier, Aisling 717, what's up, Cammy? FE Nation again. Good Times for All, what's up, Zachary? Spicy Sarah, hey. Rose 777, good to see ya. Alex Javier, Brian Stavely, you tell me, and Dennis Omeron, Earth First, Space Later, and Joseph Osborne. Shout out to all y'all. Thanks for showing up.
Mm-hmm.
It is a quite short chapter, only 18 verses, but it's a pretty hard chapter too. It's like, do it the right way or don't do it at all.
Yeah.
Just get out. So the thing about being under the ban is not, I've heard people say that under the ban means to kill somebody. That means to put them under the ban. No, it means to it sounds like what it sounds like. It's you ban it, you disconnect it from the group.
Mm-hmm.
So it talks about the plunder being under the ban, the animals being under the ban, like the city being under the ban. This is not a killing. This is, don't interact with those things anymore. They're not part of us anymore. That type of deal. So, alrighty, I think that about wraps it up. Sorry for the short chapter, but have a restful day, y'all.
All right. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Anti-Religious Scripture Study. And let me just go to the other chats real quick and see if I see anybody else. James Ritchie, shout out to you. Thank you, sir, for watching. That's all I see over there on Rockfin. All right. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode. And we will see you again next week. And we hope you have a restful day.
And the earth is still flat, so Shabbat Shalom.
And the earth is definitely still flat from one end to the other.
That's right.
All right.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.